There is nothing new under the sun. The perpetual Holocaust of knowledge suppression. I invite you to step with me into the shadow corridors of history and the present, into the places where the world's greatest threat is not always violence or war, but silence. Today, I will speak of the deliberate and ongoing burial of truth, a Holocaust of knowledge elimination. This is not a tale of one moment or one era. It is a perpetual story, a story that continues to shape our lives, our understanding, and our futures. We begin with the symbol of both hope and loss, conceived to be a beacon of Black scholarship and a monument to the depth and richness of Africa, African descended peoples. Its journey is a testament to the forces that seek to control narrative, erase identity, and maintain the status quo. How and why truth is buried. You see, throughout history, those who possess power have understood a vital lesson. Knowledge is not merely information. It is the blueprint for liberation. To bury knowledge is to bury the possibility of change. The mechanisms of suppression are varied and insidious. Censorship, distortion, omission, and destruction. The story is illustrative, and I won't tell you the title until later. But a book was written, and in this book, its vision was to collect, preserve, and disseminate the stories, achievements, and wisdom of African peoples. Truths long denied or distorted in mainstream histories. But as quickly as the project was conceived, obstacles arose. Funding was withheld. Editorial boards were pressured, and the very existence of the work was questioned. Libraries and schools received sanitized versions, while the full breadth of content was marginalized, much just like its people. See, this is not an isolated incident. Across continents and centuries, we find similar efforts. The burning of books in Alexandria, the suppression of indigenous languages in the Americas, the rewriting of textbooks to erase uncomfortable truths. The motivation is clear. By controlling what is known, one controls what is possible. To eliminate sources of truth is to maintain a world where the status quo remains unchallenged. The perpetual effort to suppress all information that will liberate those enslaved and those who do not possess the knowledge in order to make righteous decisions for not only themselves but for their families. So, who are the architects and custodians of this suppression and Holocaust of knowledge? You see, we always talk about one Holocaust, but we never talk about the dark Holocaust. And the darkness could be a lack of knowledge, but the answer is more complex. Governments, academic institutions, publishers, and even well-meaning community leaders at times participate in erasure of inconvenient truths. The methods adapt with technology and time, but the goal remains constant: to limit the scope of what can be imagined, demanded, or achieved. Suppression occurs everywhere, from elite universities to local school boards, from national archives to digital platforms. It is practiced through the denial of funding for research, the blacklisting of scholars, the banning of books, the silencing of dissenting voices online. This or the erasure is not always overt. Sometimes it is the slow fading of stories not told, or the quiet editing of facts until their meaning is lost. Why does this effort persist year after year, generation after generation? Because the truth in its rawest form is disruptive. If you don't believe me, look at yourself in the mirror. Look at your brother and sister. Look at the people you work with. Look, and you will see it everywhere. It is in the marginalization of the people. It is in the suppression of knowledge. It is in the lies of history. It exposes the injustice and demands accountability, but those invested in existing hierarchies, be they racial, economic, or cultural, have every incentive to suppress and keep suppressing the truth that threaten their power. The impact and call to action, the consequences of this persistent Holocaust of knowledge: when we bury the truth, we bury possibility. The erasure of Black histories, indigenous wisdom, and revolutionary ideas has not only impoverished our understanding of the world, it has empowered our ability to create a just and equitable future. The suppression of is a loss not only to Black communities, but to all humanity. When any people's stories are erased, we become less whole. The status quo is maintained not because it is right, but because it is unchallenged. This is the way the struggle to reclaim narrative is so urgent. This is why. And why each of us has a role to play. Educators must demand and teach the full spectrum of history. Activists must fight for open access to information and challenge censorship wherever it appears. The general public must become critical consumers of the stories we are told, seeking out voices long silenced, perspectives long ignored. The conclusion is we have unfinished business. The struggle to protect and revive the truth is far from over. The forces that seek to suppress knowledge are adaptive, persistent, and well-resourced, but so too are those who believe in the power of truth and to transform societies. Let us remember, every time a source of truth is buried, a possibility is lost. Yet every time truth is reclaimed, a future made possible. The story of the Encyclopedia Africana and all efforts like it is not finished. It is our business, our responsibility, our hope. I urge you, let us be a generation that refuses to let the Holocaust of knowledge continue. There were two men, great men, in Ghana who attempted to put together the Encyclopedia Africana that would be told by Africans for Africa, in Africa, for Africans. Now, I urge you to let us be the generation that refuses to let the Holocaust of the knowledge continue.